Okay. Dr. Mehmet Oz is America's doctor. Not only is he world famous through the Oprah Winfrey Show, he's also one of the country's top heart surgeons. He's launching his own television show, nationally syndicated, sold to most of the country. It's going to air September 2009. Don't miss it. He's also, as people know probably a little bit less, an outstanding husband, an outstanding father, real committed family man. 4 kids. They're all very accomplished in their own right. Daughter who just graduated from Princeton. She wants to be a television host for kids. His wife Lisa is a trained theologian and author who co-authors many of your books, Mehmet, and he was recently voted one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. So congratulations. Thank you for joining my club. I'm not in there yet, but I'm told that sometime over the next millennia they're going to shove me in there. Okay, Mehmet, you know, people see how busy you are. At least I certainly see it. I work with you, in Oprah and Friends. And I've seen you perform open heart surgery. I saw you operate on an 80-year-old woman replacing a heart valve. I saw you save her life in front of my eyes. I saw you walk straight out of the OR to her family and explain, the procedure and the relief that you gave them. I mean, you are involved in issues of life and death. And then you have the whole television persona. Then you're publishing like a book a year. Each one is a huge international bestseller. And yet you have a huge amount of time for family, a huge amount of time.
So actually when folks want to understand how it all happened, that's usually where I start the story. Because the fundamental things that I do today that allow me to get where I'm going to go, building teams, always being honorable and honest with people, trying to be as authentic as I can, because it's easy to do that, are things that I learned as a child. And it happened because we had dinners together. And I remember every evening, it was a routine. And routines, by the way, can be boring sometimes, but they're wonderful if you're a kid because you know what's coming next. And so I'd get home from sports with my sisters. I had 2 of them. They taught me a lot too. And my mom would be there. She was a stay-at-home mom. My father would get there at a reasonable hour, and we would have evening dinner together. And it wasn't that we spent hours and hours discussing the deeper meaning of life, but we always had an interaction. So there were role models there and events that I could bounce off of them. And when the small things happened in my life that I needed feedback on, they were there for me to bounce them off them. And that's important because timely feedback is essential. When you look at people across the planet and try to figure out what made them successful and what makes them happy, it's not how much your parents love you. It's how much you think your parents loved you. Big difference. And so I think they love me. I mean, I really do. I think they actually did. But even if they didn't love me, they certainly tricked me into thinking they loved me. And so I go around all day long blaming my mom for my demeanor because I feel that it doesn't really matter what people think of me now because my mother loved me. So who cares if you're mad at me? I'm going to do what I think is right, and I'll deal with other issues because I grew up in an environment, a nurturing one, that made me think that I was important. And I bring this up because so often we actually do things for our kids. Right? And that's a good thing. But the kids aren't going to treat themselves the way you treat them. The kids are going to treat themselves the way you treat yourself. And so as parents, we've got that interesting dynamic between making sure we're there for our kids and making sure we're doing the right things for ourselves. And one of the beautiful things about spending Friday nights with the kids is that you're carving out other nights to be able to do the other things that modern life demands of us without feeling guilty. But you're always going to, without second-guessing yourself ever, sacrifice other potential options to carve that one night out. And everyone's going to know about it. You know what? It happened to come out of Judaism, but frankly, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the one night that I think it's worth keeping people together on. Now, in my family, the way we spend our time together is not at the dinner table, but down the basketball courts, right? And we happen to have...
Turn Friday night into basketball.
It is. It's sports night. We have Oz Olympics.
You have a gym inside your house. It's incredible.
But I value that. I mean, of all the things, I asked my wife for only one thing in the whole house. I don't care what else she did with it. I didn't care where the bedroom was. I didn't care how many square feet the bathrooms were. I don't even have a closet. What I wanted was a place to play with the kids because I knew that I could study them. It was, for me, a laboratory. So for us, Friday night is about getting together in some competitive environment. Ping pong, we have pinball machines there, we play basketball, workout, but it's a way for me to get the kids to interact with each other so I can give commentary to them because it allows me to be a coach. And for me, that's the best way to share my life experiences with them. Because when it's all done, they're going to walk away with a few kernels of insight. And sometimes I've learned a few things. For example, I was telling one of my daughters, I've got 3 daughters and a boy, and I was telling one of them, honey, there's no I in team. And she said, Daddy, that's right, but there's a me.
Well, that's the beauty of kids. They challenge us in ways that we never expect. So every Friday night, you guys have a basketball game.
We play sports.
Play sports.
It's their choice. They can pick what they want. I always keep score, and somehow it's always a close game.
Well, but it is a family night. And you guys don't need things like television, DVDs, to these fictional Hollywood escapes in order to create family togetherness. I mean, you're actually interacting with your kids, you're playing with them, you're talking to them.
The kids are welcome.
It's real.
The kids are welcome to do all those things when I'm not around. But when I'm at home, I want to be with them, really with them. I mean, alive with them, enjoying them, fighting with them. I irritate them, I pinch them, I squeeze them. And that's fine, they yell and scream, because to me that's part of life. It never bothered me when the kids were yelling, because it just meant that their lungs were healthy. And I think that there are many opportunities that we can look back in our lives and regret, but I've never regretted giving up things for the kids. It just has never crossed my mind that there was something I could have done that was more valuable for me.
No, there's something nice that I actually asked you, Mehmet, come into a debate that we're doing, come into a lecture, and you always write back saying, look, I'd love to, and you love those kinds of forums, but you want to be home with the children. Yes. With all the demands that are on you as a doctor and as a television host and as a personality, et cetera, how do you find time to prioritize the family, to prioritize the kids?
But everyone has 24 hours. Same amount of time I have that everybody else has. I think it's just a matter of what you're going to make time to do. And for my personal preference, I've got my day job, which I love doing, taking care of people and operating on them. I've got my little hobby in media, which to me adds a little spice to life, and I really do enjoy it a lot. But there's nothing else that I want to do besides spend time with the kids. And by the way, I'm not some homebody that it's horrified by social existence. I love my friends. I love being with you and spending time with people who are interesting, intriguing, and teaching me. But the times I feel the most warmth in my body is when I'm with my kids. If I can give one bit of advice to everybody, the most valuable time with the kids is just before they fall asleep, because they let their defenses down. Right? They're just sort of easing out of the day, and all these thoughts are going through their mind, and you can actually sit down with them and get past the defenses and begin to understand what's really happening in their lives. And I'm often reminded that humans don't die of darkness, they die of the cold. And for the kids, it's not about me lecturing them or giving them didactic information about what they should have done differently. They don't need me to tell them they could have gotten an A, not just an A-. What they needed to feel is my love. And if I can express that to them, which I think takes a little time to do. You can't just, hey honey, I love you, I'll be out with my office buddies later tonight. That doesn't work. They're going to judge you by how you act, which is appropriate.